All right, welcome in everyone. Another episode of Nova's Team All Access. I'm your host, Bill Rowland. Today, it's a pleasure to be joined by the women's soccer head coach, Aaron Brunner. We bring him on. And Coach, I know you're already 2 games into the season here. I was following along the home opener, and I saw you guys were down 1-0 at halftime, and I went to do something. I came back, and it was 2-1. I was like, okay, that's more like it. And then like 2 minutes later, I came back and checked. It was 4-1. It was an explosion there in the second half. And then you guys dropped your first road game 2-1 to JMU. But from what I saw, it looked like you had a shot even there at the end to send that thing into extra time. Talk to me about your first couple of games.
Yeah, it's been great. We have a really good balance in our attack. We have a really good balance in our defense. We are collectively together. We're clear on how we want to play. We are much more competitive this year than we have in previous years. For the first match that we had, we did go down, like you mentioned, to VMI early on a set piece from about 60 that had a good little flick on to create their first goal. We went to halftime, regrouped. The kids really responded well in the second half. Never really got nervous as the time went on. And once we got our first goal, it opened up for 3 more. And kids really responded well to that. And then training leading up to JMU was fantastic. I thought our girls were prepared. We played against a very high-level team in James Madison who is very well coached, very well organized. One of the top teams, in my opinion, on the East Coast, especially with their style of play. 2-time conference champion in the last 3 years, but probably should have won it last year, but got knocked out in the semifinals. So a great test for our team. But we went toe-to-toe with them, created a lot of good chances. We reviewed the film. We reviewed the data from the game, and far more improved from the previous year where we lost 4-1 solidly into a 2-1 loss against James Madison away. And I thought there's a lot of growth that can happen within that game for our team.
So are you happy then with how things have progressed from your summer workouts to now putting that into play here in the first couple of games?
No question. No question. The kids have really put a lot of time and effort into their development over the break, actually the spring, as well as over the break. So we encourage them all to find a team to play on, making sure that they're in a competitive environment at home, and as well as doing their summer workout packets. And the kids really embrace that. And you can see a big difference in them walking in day one for preseason to where we are now. We're able to compete right away. We're able to sustain our actions over long periods of time. And not only that, we have depth. We have players that can come off the bench and really make a difference. It's great.
Talk to me about your kind of journey here. You're a local guy. You graduated from Hilton High School, and now you're back here in Northern Virginia. Did you ever think that was going to be the pathway when you were walking across the stage there and getting your diploma that, at some day I'm going to be coaching, I'm going to be back here in the area?
Well, I was, after I did graduate, I went to school in New Hampshire, and I got an opportunity to come back to my hometown, work with Ken Krieger, who's one of the top coaches in the area for a long time. Got to study under him for about 9 years, and then I went to Richmond. Once I moved to Richmond, I did not see myself returning back to Northern Virginia, but had the opportunity to go to Florida State and work with Brian Penske for 2 seasons, and then had the opportunity to come back home to my hometown and work for George Mason University and help rebuild this program that is special to the community, special to my wife who played here, graduated in 2006, and be able to take the time to make the community proud of this program and get excited about them and put them back in the stands.
What did you mentioned your wife Kristen played here for a number of years. What did she tell you about coming to George Mason? Obviously, you were probably familiar, again, going to high school in the area, but what did she tell you about George Mason? And was she immediately, when you got the job offer, like, yes, you have to take it or even apply for it?
No, not necessarily. When I told her mom was very intrigued and interested, and I think she was very excited to get her daughter back home. But most importantly, like what she said to me, is that she loved this place. She loved George Mason. She loved everything about it. Even though she lived in Northern Virginia and was close to home, she loved her friends that she's, still friends with, even now, 20 years later. but she loved everything about it, and she takes great pride in seeing me coach the team. She found it a little bit odd me wearing her college gear when I first got the job. She was like, just kind of like, it's kind of weird seeing you in my alma mater gear, but I came very close to going to George Mason when I was in high school. So my high school coach, who was Ken Krieger as well, really wanted me to go to George Mason. Thought going to play for Gordon Bradley would be a great opportunity for me. He always wanted me to go behind the trees to the right, because growing up, going 123, you look at the trees. There were much more trees there, and you really on campus. So go behind the trees, he always said to me. So after 30 years later, I went behind the trees and saw what an amazing place this is.
So now here in your third year, what would you say has been the hardest part about rebuilding what was a national powerhouse at one time, and national title in '85, runner up in '93? What's been kind of the thing that you tried to instill in these newer teams that you have to kind of harken back to those days?
Yeah, I mean, I think what the ladies did back in the '80s and '90s is something special, right? They were the foundation of women's sports, especially in the area. One of the top programs in the country during that time. Obviously, the landscape has changed with NIL and Title IX. So a lot of the bigger schools around the country have a lot of opportunity to build their programs and kind of instill, kind of that competitiveness that they've always wanted in all their sports. But for our team in particular, like, the administration knew it was going to take some time. So they gave me, a contract that was about 5 years, and said that there's going to be, a lot of hard work that's going to be necessary for this program to revamp it, reestablish it, and get the right kids in the room and the right players on the field. But most importantly, like, creating a foundation of professional culture and getting the kids who want to arrive and want to take ownership of their development, want to take ownership of their approach, and making sure that everybody was in line with that. So, trying to move the program to where it was player driven versus coach driven. Obviously, we have to have a major impact in that movement, but getting the players to believe in what we're doing, why we're doing it, and trying to get the right, who's in the room to help us move that vision, mission, and goals. And I think we've done a really good job of that, to where the players that have been here from day one since we walked in the room have really moved and embraced the players that have come in, and found that they're the ones displaying all the requirements that are necessary for us to become a winning program.
You talked about going to New Hampshire. I know you're a psychology major up there. How often have you had to use that psychology degree while you're coaching? I would imagine there's some tricks and everything that you learned from your college days that you still use today.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of good mentors as well, and teachers of the game, and high-level managers of people. That's an everyday challenge, right? You're trying to get the best out of the players. You're trying to recognize what they're great at and trying to fine-tune some of the things that they need to improve on. But, I feel that, managing players and getting them to believe is key. And sometimes they're going to challenge you. Sometimes they're going to push back a little bit and question, what's going on. But you have to keep, presenting different ways and different methods of ideas of how you want to play, and how we want to approach things, and how we want to identify, the strengths and the weaknesses in what we do, to really get them to slowly, brick by brick, understand that we're building the foundation, we're building the first floor of this program, and it's going to be a great living space, and that's where we are right now.
All right. So one of your senior midfielders, Maria Franjicic, is going to be our guest coming up after you.
Yes.
Tell me about her game. Talk to me about her, because she's someone who's been a starter all 4 years here. She stayed after the coaching change. Doesn't score a lot, but she seems to kind of be that glue person for your team.
Yeah, she definitely is that focal point in central midfield. She is the one that keeps the group together. But it's her behavior and it's her professionalism that does that. Like, she does not take any breaks. She's always trying to do the best thing she could possibly do for herself, which then resonates and becomes kind of a multiplier within the team. She focuses on, the lesson plans. She focuses on the details on the opponents. She draws players in when they need help and assistance. So she is kind of that leader within herself, but also the leader within the team. She helps with the leadership groups within the team, trying to keep everybody on the same path. She's a culture instiller. She wants to be great. But most importantly, she loves the school. She loves this program. She loves her teammates. She loves everything that this school represents. And to me, we need players like that. We need players that believe in what we're doing, believe in what they're doing, most importantly, and kind of lead this program into the next chapter. And, the next chapter is hard because we're starting to move into the light a little bit to where people are starting to recognize that, one, we're difficult to play against. Two, we're going to be thoughtful in how we play, and we're going to make it, a challenge for opponents, but we're also going to start getting results. And when you do that, the light starts to shine on the group a little bit more. So things become a little bit more of a focal point of how to solve us. And Maria has been a mainstay on the team and trying to keep everybody, balanced and organized and structured, but on a professional level. And she loves this. She loves this team.
When you look at all the things that an assistant coach down at Florida State and being on a national title team, you also did a lot of grassroots coaching, as you mentioned, down in Richmond. As you take all those things and you put them towards George Mason, what does, in your mind, your team look like when you're successful, when things are going well, when you've got that corner turned, if you will, like you said, when the spotlight starts shining because you're getting the results? What does that look like for your team?
That's a great question. We go back to our philosophy. We want to put the game on our terms. It doesn't matter if the team's better than us or more talented than us. We want the game to be on our terms in all phases. So just talk a little bit about just soccer here, but attacking transition, attacking, defending transition, defending set pieces. We want to put the game on our terms as much as possible. For example, we knew James Madison was a very possession-based team. We knew our attacking transition was going to be key to our success to create chances. So how to deal with them and their variety of different, unbalancing movements and rotations and interchanges and in system structures, like we knew we were going to have to change often, but on our terms. We wanted to make sure that whatever changes we make puts our position in a place to where we are dictating the game as much as possible. And I feel right now we're starting to figure out how to have more complete games in that, to where there's no drop-offs, there's no mistakes, there's no errors, and being consistent with all our actions on a daily basis. So, possession-based, building through, creating chances, organized defensive, limiting chances, all the things that are necessary for any team, but more at a consistent basis. So consistency on a daily basis and trying to get those results against the mid-level teams like ourselves, as well as trying to push and try to get a result here and there versus the top programs, but making sure that we're getting exactly what we want out of the game for the right reasons for the short term and long term.
When you look at it, everybody says, winning is a habit. All those things are habits, but winning is hard. It's hard to get to those habits. So how do you kind of, I don't want to say drag them along, because I'm sure they're very motivated to get to that spot, but I would imagine that's the hardest part, is getting from, last year, you and I talked about this in one of the coaches' caravans, that last year you guys seemed to be right there, a goal here or there, a play here or there from winning. How hard is it to go from that team to now we are being on the other side of those 1-goal games?
Yeah, there's a point where the players have to recognize that losing is a habit, and I think they did, and they started to figure out that they're going to have to change their habit. And it's been a lot of work over the last 2 years, and the players that have been in the locker room here at this university have really looked at each other and said, it's time. It's time to change what we do. It's time to change our approach. And we know it's not going to happen overnight like that. And it's going to take a daily process of doing the right things for the right reasons when nobody's looking and nobody's watching us, and making sure that, we're going to the gym, we're going to do our workouts, we're going to train on our own. One of the big things that the girls did this year on their own without us was they wanted to do captain's practice for a week prior to their arrival. They showed up a week before and they trained on their own. They hung out with each other. They cooked dinners. They watched TV. They spent time with each other. They got to know the younger players that came into the program to make them feel comfortable. And, their togetherness and their belief are key. And now for the next step for us is we're going to continue to play well. We're going to continue to compete. We're going to continue to win games that we previously haven't and get above that line. And that's our theme for the year, is above the line. But we're going to do it again on our terms, and we're going to find ways to showcase our talent and make winning a habit here and losing a learning habit, right? So instead of losing to suffer and not understand why, we're going to understand why we lost to James Madison and use that as growth moment so we can eventually beat teams like James Madison. But talented teams are good teams, and we want to become a talented and good team.
Perfect, Coach. That's a great way to end it. We appreciate the time today, and good luck throughout the season.
Sure. Thank you for your time.
And coming up next, senior midfielder Maria Franjicic will join us. As promised, we are welcomed now by the senior midfielder from the George Mason Patriots women's soccer team, Maria Franjicic. Maria, first off, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Want to start off with your journey here to Mason. You came in as a freshman, started 17 out of 18 games. That is not something that usually happens when freshmen come into college soccer. Do you remember your moment there as a freshman where you went, well, this is different. This isn't high school. This is college soccer, and this is a total adjustment for me?
Yeah, I think it was a really good opportunity to get a lot of minutes as a freshman, and I think it's definitely impacted how I've developed over the years. So I'm really thankful that I got that time, but it definitely was a big adjustment, coming from club soccer into the collegiate world. Like, it's faster, it's quicker. So I think it's taken a couple years to adjust to that, but I'm really grateful for those early minutes that I got.
You're a bit of a rarity in this day and age in college sports because you've stayed at George Mason for all 4 years of your college play. You had a coaching change after your freshman year. What was it about maybe a conversation you had with Coach Bruner? Maybe it was just that you loved being here at Fairfax so much. What was the reason for you deciding to stay and continue your career once you had that coaching change?
Yeah, I think from my first conversation with Coach Bruner, it was clear he was trying to develop this program and he had a vision. And I think a big reason I stayed is because I wanted to be a part of that. And additionally, like, the team we have, the environment we have, like, I love this group of girls. I love working with them every single day. So I think it's also rare to come across that, like a team that's so connected. So I think I really just wanted to be a part of that and stay with that.
One of the things that your coach said when we talked to him, and I had said that you were going to be coming up next, he talked about how you are really good as far as being a glue person, that you gather people together, whether it was high or low or whatever it was. You're kind of that steadying force. What does that mean to you to hear that from your coach, that he's kind of one of those players that you're one of those players he relies on to say, you know what, I know if we're in a bit of a storm that I can look to Maria and she's going to calm everybody down?
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot, hearing that from him. It means a lot. I think it's what he harps every day, though. It's us being together. And, we play the best when we're together, even if it's in a bad situation, like just getting closer together on the field, it helps a lot. So I really try and enforce that in every game, no matter the situation.
Playing midfield, you're playing a lot of minutes, a lot of games, you're going all 90. What is that like when you're out there? Is it harder mentally to stay engaged for the 90 minutes, or is it harder on the physical side of things to stay engaged for 90 minutes?
Yeah, definitely. As I've gotten older, it's harder physically, but you talk about the mentality, like, it's difficult. You can't take any breaks. So really trying to be locked in all 90 minutes. It's helpful. I have a great back line behind me, so they kind of help guide me. And if I do take a break, they're quick to tell me where to be, where I need to be. So I think that's super helpful.
When you look at all the things that you've gone through again since your freshman year until now, and part of that growth your coach talked about is developing the habit of winning. And that may be one of the hardest things that there is to do in sports is, people think, oh, it's a win or it's a loss, but you get into a routine and winning becomes a habit. Have you seen that growth in the program since your freshman year to now, that you feel like you guys are just on the verge of being one of those teams that takes advantage and you start winning those 1-goal games instead of, being frustrated about what could have been?
Yeah, 1,000%. You can tell clearly the mentality that this team and this program has had since my freshman year. We're in every game now. It's not like we're going into every single game head for head. It doesn't matter who we're playing. Like, we know we're going to stick to our style, our principles, and we know that that will work in the end. So I think it's just really focusing on that. Our mentality has changed completely since my freshman year.
If you were to talk to, some of the young kids, maybe folks back at your high school or local soccer players here in the area that are thinking about playing in college, what's the one thing that you think a lot of players don't understand about coming from high school to college? Is it the academics? Is it the harder practices? What is the one thing that you think a lot of incoming freshmen, let's say, don't understand about college soccer?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot to balance whenever you come into your freshman year, but I'd say the biggest thing is you have so much support from your university and from the people around you. Like, there's so many people you can lean on your teammates, lean on the older people. Like, they'll really help and guide you. And there's just so many people there to support you. So just ask questions, things like that.
When you play 90 minutes and you did Thursday VMI and then Sunday against James Madison, it's a pretty quick turnaround, a lot of minutes. What's your recovery process like to, again, stay engaged, to be able to be out there and still be practicing, to be able to go whenever the next game rolls around? What's your recovery like?
Yeah, I've definitely started to spend more time in the treatment room as I've gotten older. So day after the game, it's spending an hour, 2 hours in the treatment room, really trying to get my body recovered. And then also just doing like an active recovery, like a longer walk or a swim, something like that, just to like flush my body out. And then just getting ready for training the next day and going off of that.
When you look at what's happened since your freshman year until now, when you know that the team is going well and you guys are going to be successful, what does that look like to you? Again, you kind of have to control all the little things going on that people may not realize. You're not expected to be one of the people that's scoring goals, but you're expected to kind of be the person that's setting everybody up. So if Mason is successful, what does it look like from your position there on the field that you know things are going well?
Yeah, I think there's a feeling. You can feel it on the field when we know things are going our way. Like, you can just feel the momentum of everyone being together. We mentioned our game against Dayton last year a lot. There's just this feeling that you feel on the field. It's like, okay, we're all in this together. Like, if I mess up, I know someone's behind me working as hard as they can to get back, vice versa. So I really think there's just a feeling, like, you just feel it on the field, like, okay, like we're gonna get this done.
When you're juggling your academics, and I'm assuming you're coming up as a senior, the college career is closing in. It's almost time to get that diploma and everything. How have you been able to juggle that with your academics and being a student athlete and all of those things? It's a lot to do on a day-to-day basis. What kind of things are you doing to kind of stay locked in and being able to separate? Okay, I've got a test over here, but I also need to be in film or training, or I've got to be, going with the team and all those other things. How do you keep track of all of that?
Yeah, it's a lot. Definitely planning ahead. So it's not like you can really wait last minute. If you have something due, you try and start it a week early just so you can get ahead of things. And then you're not playing catch up. It's not like, oh, this is due this night, I have to do it now. It's like, it should have been done a week ago. And then you're able to kind of keep track and fill in time for other things.
Okay, I'm going to close things out here with some rapid fire questions. I got about a dozen or so. I don't know if we'll get to all of them. I just want quick reaction to everything. These will be quick. It doesn't have to be introspective, just right off the top of your head. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
First thing, why number 24?
One of my best friends in high school.
Okay. Who's the funniest teammate?
I don't want to give it to her, but probably Izzy.
Okay. In the locker room before games, who's controlling the music, or is everybody just going to earbuds?
Carly's got a good playlist.
What's the best thing on her playlist? What is it about it? Did she just have a little bit for everybody, or?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
Okay. When you want to get away from everybody, what's your favorite spot to go to on campus?
I really there's a spot outside at the JC. They have these nice chairs that you can sit in. It's really nice.
Okay. Who's your most fashionable teammate?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me think. That's tough. Honestly, today I saw Dree walking in a pretty nice outfit, so I'm going to go with Dree.
All right, we'll go with Dree then. That's fine. You're getting on the bus, getting ready to go on a road trip. What's your go-to snack that you got to have on the bus for those long road trips?
Probably some goldfish.
Okay. Your teammate, Maddie, has an NIL deal with Crumble Cookie. Has she ever gifted you a crumble cookie? And if not, why not?
She has yet to gift us crumble cookies. I don't know
why. That's a problem. We're going to have to get that taken care of. What phrase do you hear most often from Coach Bruner in practice?
Oh, geez. Maybe when it's over and he's like, and time. He does that a lot.
That works. All right. What player on the team do you think will most likely go into coaching? And maybe it's even you. I don't know if you're considering that or not.
Yeah, I would definitely love to do that, but I think Mia Kashani could too.
Okay. And last thing, and you can go longer on this one. Why should fans come out and support the women's team, Nova's team here at George Mason? What is special about this team this year?
Yeah, I think we have a super special group of girls. We have young players coming in, making statements, and I think it's just a super together group that's super fun to watch. Like, we really give it all in every single game, no matter what. So I think it'd be super awesome for everybody to come out and watch us.
All right, perfect. Maria, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. And good luck this season. We'll see you out there at George Mason.
Thank you so much.